But we're grateful for this moment in time for her that she has launched and is launching her new book, her new project, her new movement called No Limits. And I'm welcoming to the stage none other than Lady Nicole Bell. For every sister who fought through it all, we see you, girl. Celebrate. Just to lighten it up, because she's a little shy. I think we both were introverts, even though we got into so much stuff. But this is something that she's stepping into, and so I want her to feel comfortable. So I'm just gonna tell y'all one story. Is it okay? I'm gonna tell them one story, Nicole. The one about the washateria. So we were assigned. We didn't have washer and dryer at home in the homes. So we were assigned. Oh, the wet. She would have to go wash her family's clothes, and I would have to go wash my family's clothes. So our parents, our mothers would drop us off, our mothers or sisters, and our mothers would drop us off at the washateria and say, "Go wash those clothes," and we'll come pick y'all up. So they would give us so many quarters. So we would wash those clothes, and then when they get home, they're like, "Why these clothes so damp? Why these clothes so wet?" He's like, "Some of them that dry. These dries are bad up there." And so it would happen the next week. It would happen the next week. Until finally, I don't know if they even discovered how, but our hidden story was there was a game called Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. So we would spend most of the quarters playing our favorite game. And so that's one of our fun moments. But we've had a lot of great times and different ventures that we did. But we're here to talk about this book, this movement. Um, this, as my coach would say, this paradigm shift that has happened in her life. And so this will be the read that we start with in January. So Nico, tell us about who you are. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I am, first, I am a wife. I am a mother. In the real world, I'm a VP of mortgage. So Michelle helped you find a home. I help finance the home. And we just started this movement, which is the No Limits Group.
Mhm, mhm. And that's amazing to hear because what we just discovered in doing research about our family that has land in Leggett, Texas, our grandfather's grandmother she bought land in Leggett, Texas. So how would it be that in our blood is connected with land and purchases and real estate? So that's amazing to see that. So No Limits came. Where were you when that came into fruition in your mind and in your spirit that that's what you were supposed to do? Where were you?
Um, I was home and I just had the vision and I shared it with my husband. Um, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and told me that your only limitations are the ones you refuse to break.
Mm.
And I immediately went to my husband. I was like, the Holy Spirit told me this. And he said, that's good. And from that point, I think the No Limits group came off of that because from that, I knew it was just not a slogan or a motto. It was a movement.
Yeah.
For God's people to understand that we put ourselves in boxes and we put ourselves in those boxes, we limit what God can do for us. And so this movement is for everyone who read this book or have an encounter with this book, that you will release those limitations that you have placed on your life and allow God to do what he's called you to do.
Yeah, I like that. And I think what we heard earlier from Esther Renee Wright is some of what we've gone through in our own personal lives kind of birthed us to where we are today.
Absolutely.
So tell me, how did we get here in your own story?
Okay. So I called myself a introvert. How many introverts we have in the room? What if I told you that being an introvert sometimes is because you have retreated due to trauma or due to wounds? So what do I mean by that? Normally you're an outgoing child, and somewhere in your life, you retreat due to things that were said to you, things that were done to you, and you start to internalize it and you say, look, I'm not going to let that hurt me again. So we immediately put up this wall, and that wall is what we call an introverted wall, meaning that we're not going to let people in that space anymore. And so then we begin to speak. I am an introvert. Well, you are what you say you are, right? So you begin to accept the fact that, oh, I'm just an introvert. No, you're not. There's wounds and trauma that you need to deal with so that you can break out of that myth.
Wow. Do y'all see the breadcrumbs? I mean, the first session, and now we're talking about what we have called it, what we have named it. When you give it a name, that's what it is. So break it down for us as far as you talk about retreating. But where was it like in your life as you found, well, I guess let me phrase it this way. At what point in your life did you find out this is what I was doing? This is what, I can call it.
Dealing with my own personal childhood trauma was one. And then I got to a point to where worldly wise, everything was going great. But internally, there was still something missing. And so when the Holy Spirit gave me that about the fact that I was limiting myself and that I was not truly an introvert, I chose that lifestyle. Then I had to go back and try to remember the things that were said to me, the things that were done to me, and be able to deal with those situations to move out of that reality that I thought was me being an introvert.
Yeah, yeah. And let's talk about some of your public successes because you represent one of the major lenders, in this time. I don't know how y'all rank, but you also represent on the diversity side. So you're very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Your professional life is booming, you're growing and you're always looking beautiful. And kind of what we described earlier, that outer and the success that you're having, how did it not, cover up what was going on the inside?
It's called the mask.
Okay.
And we wear them so well. And I wore that mask very, very well. So the outside success, being a top producer, I'm involved with all different kind of real estate associations. On the outside, it looked great. But on the inside, I knew that there was something still missing. And until I dealt with those issues, God actually stopped everything. So as far as my producing, he totally struck me to a point that I had to face because he knew that there was somewhere else that I needed to be spiritually. And as long as I continued to produce worldly, I wasn't going to address anything spiritual.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I would like to step on that. That was good. We're gonna let that one sink in. Because the outer sometimes is what we are most concerned with what people say. But what we don't realize is we can look any kind of way. If your inner is straight and your inner is good, then it's kind of like you have no limits. It's like you can still still be all that God has called you to be in those environments. So I think about your journey of life. And not sure how transparent you want to be, but what is a story? What is um, a moment that you can pull to let us know that journey that got you here as well? Anything you want to share?
Oh, I don't mind sharing because I'm free.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I think the thing that mainly got me here was when the people that violated me at the point where they actually passed away. Not in a, I feel good that they passed away, but I really had to deal with how I truly felt. I knew I had to forgive, but I didn't know how to forgive. Because it really changed my life. And with that change in my life, 'cause I didn't deal with it until I was an adult.
Yeah.
And so all of these years that I thought things were the norm, and one of the biggest things is family secrets that can destroy you.
Yes.
And so dealing with that and seeing those individuals pass away back to back, and God still put me in a position to where I still felt the compassion for them and really prayed that they, one, accepted Christ for real, and two, that they had asked for forgiveness, not to me, but to God, and that they were actually able to make it in.
Wow.
And so that peace and that serenity at that moment, I think is what kind of guided me into this, to where I was free at that moment.
Mhm. And that's a good feeling, when you're at a place of liberation and you can talk about it and you don't have the weight. I want to pick up something you said about family secrets. How in basically his generation, I know in our family generation, Nico and I stayed in the same house. But one thing we were taught, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And a lot of stuff was swept underneath the rug because nobody knew how to deal with it and nobody wanted to deal with it. So even from this perspective, because I know exactly, how you feel as far as the person passing on, how do you heal the family, the people? How do you move forward with family members who should have said something and they didn't?
I had to look at the fact of what level of understanding they had to deal with it. Sometimes we look at parents, and I had to come to grips that they can only love you as much as they knew how to love.
Yeah.
Everything is a learned behavior. So if they grew up in a household where they did not receive that love, it's not where you wake up and you're a mother and you know how to love.
That's good.
It's all taught. And so I had to finally come to grips with the fact that my mother and my father could only love me to the capacity that they knew how.
That's good.
And I had to forgive them for not loving me the way I thought I should have been loved.
Yeah. That is a whole, I'm sorry, that is a whole workshop class for this next generation.
Yeah.
There is something, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about, there's something that's called no contact. Have y'all heard about that? No contact? When these kids, adult kids are saying they no contact with their parents, they don't want to associate with them no more. And it stems from something very similar to that. And that's the message that I think that's so profound in your story, in your book on No Limits, how you got there, that journey there. Now we living without limits, we living without borders. But how we got there, that process, that trauma, how you processed it through your life, I think is a critical teaching, because a lot of people are suffering in silence because they expect parentals or parents to basically have it all together, to have it all figured out. When you have sacrificed most of your life doing based upon what you know, and that was our parents, that was our mothers. I mean, her mother would take us to school one morning, my mom would take us to school one morning. We had all these dynamics. One morning we had cheese toast, and the government cheese toast that you put in the oven and then half melted. Or one morning we had cornflakes. We grew up. That was the very best that they knew. And they was going to good jobs. I don't know how we was on government cheese. They had good jobs. You gotta ask that question. But back to No Limits. What's your favorite chapter?
It's the chapter about the transformation.
Okay.
And that's my favorite chapter because in that, I equated it to the metamorphosis stages of a butterfly.
Yes.
And so with the butterfly, it starts off with a little bitty small egg. But everything is already in that egg for it to become a butterfly.
Come on.
Then you move on to your next stage, which is called your larva stage. And this is that caterpillar stage to where in that stage, it's an ugly stage, but your only purpose is to eat and grow. That's it. Eat and grow. In the spirit, your only purpose is to eat God's word and work. That's your larva stage. Then you move over into the cocoon. And the cocoon is where a lot of us miss it because that's the place of isolation. And we don't like isolation. And we think that isolation is a punishment when it's not. It's in that stage to where you are redefined. God began to pull away those people, things, and situations that you shouldn't have attached to because they can't go into your next season with you. Again, we think that's punishment, but it's not. From there, you move on to where you got to come out of that cocoon. And what we miss that part is that it's a struggle to get out. But if a butterfly do not struggle to get out of the cocoon, the wings are not strong enough for them. And so with us, we say, okay, God, you told me to do this, but I'm not seeing what you told me to do because I don't have the finances, I don't have the resources. But when God gives you something, He is going to provide for you to get through. And it's not for you to figure out. So we want you to have that struggle to get out of that cocoon. Why? Because you have to be strong for your next season. And He have to make sure that you are prepared. So that's what we talk about. It's that transformation piece that do not feel good, but it is designed and in alignment with what God has for you.
And as you're talking, I'm getting downloads. I love butterflies. Randy and I were in our recent purchase, as you know, and the only thing when I got stressed, I was getting frustrated walking. Have you ever heard of a closing at 8 o'clock at night? Okay, I've never in the history of me being a real estate agent close
Close at midnight.
Well, you would. You would be fighting for your clients, but never happened. But there was a butterfly that kept flying over the house, kept flying over in my face. And it was like God was saying, I'm with you. The thing about butterflies, they're not the same color. They're all different. They're different shapes. They're different colors. They have different wings. So that says that imposter syndrome, what my brand look like, may not be what your brand look like. But it don't discredit the value and the validity of your brand because it don't look like somebody else. So I wouldn't say stop looking at Facebook. I think Facebook is very, very important to what we do and how we move. But I would say refuse to get into the comparison and the competing that I gotta be this way. I gotta, it has to look like that. So I want you to, take that and understand how that, will be beneficial to what this is. And I'm just sitting here full of joy and proud of who you are today, your freedom, your liberation, and even your transformation. And so when the family see us now, and we have family members here too, when the family see us now, that they can realize, hey, they was just inquisitive about Pac-Man. They just wanted to ride the bus when they stayed right across the street. Why would they catch a metro? So downtown, going downtown on the bus. So many things that brought us here that even when I go places, I love butterflies too. As you see this woman here, I saw that picture, but I was actually in the store and Randy and I saw this picture. And I said, I wanted to present this to you. You are a butterfly. You have been through the lava stage. You have been tried and proven. And I love the fact because you had to wiggle out some situations privately that nobody knows anything about. But today we see a beautiful, beautiful butterfly. And I am so godly proud of you. And this is just the beginning of what God is going to do. May you sell out every book that you have produced. May you grow. May you sit on stages that you didn't even imagine. May your name be called in heaven. May people call you from the north, the south, the east, and the west to tell your story of transformation. So I believe this is just the beginning. As I was talking to my mentor in the intermission, I did a check-in and just kind of checked the pulse. He said, Michelle, one thing about the birthing room, now everybody is permitted to come in. Thank you. Thank God for allowing us to come into your birthing room and to witness the birthing of no limits. That we can believe for ourselves that our eye have not seen, ear have not heard, neither has to enter into the heart of man what God has in store for you. So I would say get ready. Loans are what you do, but it's not who you are. So with that being said, you got any last remarks?
And I just want to thank you. When God gave me the vision, and I was looking for a place to host lunch. And before you even got the words out, God had already aligned it. And that's when I go back to say, don't worry about the steps, because God has already laid them out and prepared them. I didn't know where I was going to have my lunch party. And I called Michelle to find the location, right? And
let me tell you how she called me. Do you know a place that you can have a lunch party? I mean, a book lunch. And I said, you know what? Somebody that I know, I saw a beautiful glass building, the gas. And I thought she was calling for a friend because I didn't know she had written a book. She hadn't told us she had written a book. She didn't told nobody. And it was a private thing. I guess that was the cocoon. She was coming back, right? So when I checked back, I said, because this girl wouldn't answer me, and I didn't want you to think I'm avoiding, I'm not getting back with you. So I called, I said, listen, she ain't getting back with me. Who the book signing for? Who doing the book signing? She said, I am. I was like, drop the mic. Girl, on whatever, December the 6th, we doing an expo. You can launch your book here. Right here. And not only that, this book will be our book that we enter into 2026 with. So that's part of Activate Her. And next week, you have a book signing as well with family and friends that you're doing as well. So y'all can get more information at the book, at her table. Make sure you pick up her book. Be a part of this defining moment. Be a part of this defining moment. So any closing words?
I can say this because it just downloaded as you were speaking.
Yeah.
When God gives you something, make sure that you are listening to every process. Because there's some things that He'll have you do in private that no one will know about until His timing to do it. My husband can share it with you. I had written the whole book, did everything, and I had to lay before God because I wanted to make sure that releasing this book was in the correct timing. And He told me yes, and I handed my husband a manuscript. And so you just have to make sure that God will tell you to do things, but don't move ahead of Him.
Yeah.
And do them exactly the way He tells you to do it. And that way you will stay within His purpose.
All right. We'll take a break on that one.